America, America, man sheds his waste on thee and hides the pines with billboard signs from sea to oily sea. Rest in peace, George Carlin. Alright, the whole point of this channel, from the very start, was supposed to be awareness of PTSD, what it's like, and how you live with it. How I live with it, anyway. Now, it's been one of those things where it's difficult to come up with an analogy or something that a normal person could look at and be like, you know, that's completely understandable, that makes sense. I talked about it a little bit in one video, or PTSD is basically just a leftover evolutionary trait. And whenever your body or your mind decides that it's not safe, go through the normal channels of your conscious mind thinking about what's going on and then reacting to it, and it decides to TO and do it on its own. And people want to say, you know, don't think about the trauma, get over it, let it be in the past. Well, look at the trauma this valley has endured in the past. Look at all this mining residue. That was 100 years ago. The landscape hasn't forgotten about it. Probably never will. Now this spot up here, it's quite a unique location. Back in the late 1860s, early 1860s, this was the town of Palmyra. And later, what you actually still see here was built in 1936. It's kind of amazing to think about. I can't even imagine driving out here with 1920s, 1930s vehicles and even attempting to build anything, let alone they built it. Now this mill, like I said, was built in 1936, and even with all that debris up there and all that back there, the vast bulk of that was probably from mining in Palmyra before Palmyra disappeared. Now, in 1936, when they built this thing only ran for a couple of days before they realized real fast that the individual who assessed the ore in the area absolutely didn't know what they were doing. And it was actually worth 3 times less, well, the amounts were 3 times less than assessed. And by the time they figured that out, they realized they were never even going to make their money back from this mill, let alone make any kind of profit. So, I mean, the road they came in on wasn't that bad. I mean, if people could do it back in the 1860s, why not in the 1930s? Makes sense, right, guys? But anyway, what I'm saying is, these people didn't think about the scars they were going to put on the side of this mountain. They figured this thing would be here and operating for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's kind of crazy to think about in modern times. We don't build things that just disappear. Not anymore. It happened once. But, I imagine this road up here had to exist when Palmyra was down there. Couldn't have just been built for the mill. Although this is where everything entered the mill, as far as I know. There might have been more up there. But I think everything entered the mill down here floated down into those tanks, and then they basically use foam and flotation to separate the gold out of the rock. The gold would float up, get stuck in all the foam, and I'm assuming, I don't know how they got it where it is. Maybe there was some erosion over time, but I'm thinking when Palmyra was here, they just used to come up here and dump all the debris from mining just down this hill. It's just weird that there's this big gap here. I don't know how they managed that, or if they just went out along that and just kept dumping further and further. Kind of crazy to think about. Like I said, if the landscape can't remove these scars in 100 years, why should a person with trauma be able to forget it in even 20 or 30? It's not really about forgetting it as much as your mind knowing that the best way to stay safe is to learn those lessons. If you don't learn, you don't adapt, you won't survive. All of this, even over here, this beautiful campsite right here that I want to use one day, all of this was Palmyra. No idea what that pipe is or how long that's been in the ground. But yeah, just back my truck in right there, set up the truck camp. Oh. We're probably roughly half mile from Palmyra. And this hole in the ground right here, that's all barbed wired off, I believe from the research I've done, is the mine that caused Palmyra to no longer be a town. I could be wrong. It is definitely a mine. Whether or not it's the one. Town Como. The only real sign it was ever here, right there. Just about 120 years ago, when this post office closed down. And again, nature's doing what it can to take it back, but in no way has the scar been removed. In no way can you ask the people that drive by here not to see that, and not to acknowledge that there is a past. So just think about that. Every time you tell somebody with trauma, who's experienced trauma, to get over it or leave it in the past, drive past this and try and leave it in the past. Just ignore that it's there. It's not possible. Your brain is going to see it, and your brain is going to wonder. Even if you didn't know the history, even if you didn't know that this was the town of Cuomo, and that was its post office, closed down for the last time in the early 1900s. Built in 1860. Well, 1860 something. Past does not go away easily. Look at all this. All these, this is all the Como mine. I mean, how old is this freaking pipe right here? Talk about history. Now, this right here is what I wanted this channel to be about. Exploring places like this. How history and the present are one and the same. Ooh, I have never seen that structure back there. Oh, what is that? Look at this. Oh, dude, there was a whole town here. I haven't driven a lot of these streets. Let's park this thing. Look around. Oh my goodness. That's Row Peak up there. I mean, look. There's just mines. Or attempts at mining. All over the place. This whole range. Uh-oh. Is that the Como mine? No, it is not. But it is a big-ass hole. Always watch for snakes and scorpions, people. Oh, and absolutely never off-road alone. I'm a dumbass. Look at that. And even if you find a mine with an actual cave, which I never have, stay out of them. Safety tip of the week. This is crazy out here. Although I already knew that. That's why I came here for this video. Finally make the kind of content I want to make. And one more site to hit up here. What is this? Oh, Lord. This is literally the best way I could think of trying to explain to people what it's like to have PTSD, this terrain, this history, same physical scars as we get emotionally and mentally. I don't know how else to make people understand. I think I lost my bike. Can't believe there's still snow over there. It's freaking July! Let's go check that trail over there, see if we can actually see the Como mine. Alright, tree in the way. Tree down, we got a tree down. Oh, look at that. Looks like it grew around something else. It's crazy. Like there was a fence post or something, the tree just wrapped itself on around it. Oh, just a fuck panting away, man. I'm looking at the mine. I don't know where it is. But the camera sees it well, camera's on it somewhere around here. Let me check that hole right there. Doesn't seem right though. Yeah. That hill, where that tree is. Let's go down there and check it out. Okay. That's a deep freaking hole. It is amazing to think that 100 years ago, the person with determination dug that freaking hole. And all you can call it is determination. That's a lot of rock. That's a lot to get through. It's amazing to me that that can even be done without modern equipment. Absolute insanity. Alright, let's get down there, see if we can find that cave mine instead of a surface freaking dig a big old hole mine. Should most certainly be by this tree, unless the map's wrong. The lack of barbed wire is making me think the map is wrong. Although that is a hole there. Yeah. It's just a hole, not a cave. From all the research I did, everything said Palmetto closed, or Palmyra, ugh, closed down because of gold being spotted in a cave by Como. In this spot, being marked as the Como mine, you would expect to see a cave. But all I see is piles of debris. Freaking tree stump. There's more tree stumps. There's tree stumps all through there. They had to have, well, there was the building of the town. There was 400 people out here at one point. stores, hotels, of course saloons. Alright, well, at least for today, we'll say we're not going to find the Como mine, and we'll try and head up to Pony Meadow.